This is Dr. Kavita Singh, Associate Professor in Department of Civil Engineering in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So today we are going to discuss a lecture on importance of weathering. So weathering is the process we have already discussed in the previous lectures. So due to weathering, there are a lot of problems related to the structure failure. So weathering is a process which continuously is taking place as a as a natural event, and this can occur in any kind of rocks. So weathering process will be occurred due to the climatic conditions, due to the water, due to the human activities, due to the air, or any kind of abrasive material. The rocks will be continuously weathered. So that becomes a major problem related to the construction works, because already the structure which is already constructed, that may affect with the weathering problem. Weathering is the process like cutting down of the rocks into small particles and making it a failure for the future chance. So this is what we are going to discuss in this lecture today. So what is the importance of weathering when you go for the construction works in any kind of dams or reservoirs? Then it will be affecting. So let us understand weathering plays a crucial role. It plays a very crucial role in the designing process, in the construction process, and long-term stability of the reservoirs and tanks. It plays a very crucial role, and it is very much important in the designing part. It's very much important in the construction part, and it has a long-term stability of reservoirs and tanks. It affects the engineering properties of rocks and soils, influencing their strength, permeability, durability. Now, importance of weathering in reservoir. So what are the importance of weathering in the reservoirs? So reservoirs are constructed to store water for irrigation, for drinking power, generation process, and the flood control. So weathering significantly impacts. So when you talk about the reservoir, so reservoir is the very important in the for the irrigation process, very important for the drinking process, and very important for the power generation process and the flood control. So weathering is significantly, it impacts their foundation, its stability, and the water retention properties, which will further help us in the at the time of the drought kind of conditions. So weathering, it impacts the foundation, any kind of foundation, any kind of structure that will affect the foundation due to the weathering process. It will affect the stability of the foundation, and it will also affect the water retention process, because weathering is the process where the rock is slowly cut down into pieces and the structure becomes weak. So as a point of reservoir, this is very important to understand the importance. Now when you talk about under this reservoir, first thing what we have to understand is foundation stability. So what is foundation stability? So when you talk about foundation stability, so whether rock lose strength leading to potential settlement or failure of the dam or embankment, soft highly weathered rocks can cause foundation failures, which will requiring the reinforcements of excavation of the weak zones. So first of all, foundation is very important for a structure. So due to the weathered rock, it has a very loose strength. It leads the potential settlement or the failure of the dam and embankment, and it has a soft, highly weathered rock. It can cause the foundation failure, requiring the reinforcement or excavation of the weak zones. Second thing is seepage and water retention. Seepage and water retention is weathering increases porosity, permeability, allowing the water to seep through the rocks, which can cause leakage and reduce the reservoir efficiency. So seepage and water retention is also a problem here. When the weathering occurs, then what happens? There is a chances of pores, and there is a chances of water permeability. The water can be easily permeable inside the rocks, and it will allow the water to seep through the rocks, and which can cause the leakage, and it can reduce the reservoir efficiency, and even it can reduce the reservoir efficiency. Now chemical weathering can dissolve minerals. So through chemical weathering, the minerals can be dissolved, forming in the underground cavities, and they may lead to the sinkholes and or the piping failures in the embankments. So chemical weathering is a very dangerous process here. So when the chemical weathering takes place, what happens? There are a lot of rocks which contains the minerals which can dissolve in the water, and that kind of rocks can be easily dissolved in the water, which forms the underground cavities. So that may lead to the sinkholes or piping failure in the embankments. Now landslides and slope around the reservoir. So weathering weakens the slopes. Weathering weakens the slope, making them prone to landslides and rock falls. And in highly weathered rock zones, slope must be reinforced to prevent the mass movements that could affect the reservoir storage capacity. So in the highly weathered rock zones, slope must be reinforced. It will prevent the mass movements, and that could be the effect of the reservoirs in the storage capacity. Now, next thing what we have to understand here is landslide is a very much problematic in the reservoirs, because a landslide can occur which will make this reservoir as a less you can say it has a less capacity once the landslide happens. So huge amount of rock will fall inside the water, which will reduce the capacity of the reservoir. So weathering weakens slopes, making the prone landslides and the rock fields, and in highly weathered rock zones, slope must be reinforced to prevent the mass movements that could affect the reservoir storage capacity. Now, durability of the construction materials. Now, as a construction materials, there are it's a very durable kind of construction materials. Rock used in dam construction must be resist weathering to prevent the deterioration over the time. And alkali silica reaction in weathered aggregates can lead to cracking in concrete structures. So rocks used in dam construction must resist weathering to prevent the deterioration over time. And alkali and silica reaction in weathered aggregates can lead to cracking in the concrete structures. Now, groundwater ingress and the drainage issues. So here, groundwater ingress and drainage issues will also happen. So when weathering increases rock permeability, leading to the water seepage into the tunnels, clay minerals formed due to the weathering can swell, and when in contact with the water, causing the tunnel lining deformations. Now, with importance of weathering, as in the tunnels we see, so that we have seen as the point of reservoir. When you talk about the tunnels, so tunnels are excavated and through the rock masses. So the type of the rock the tunnel is going to be excavated. It's very important to know the type of the rock which is going to be excavated. So tunnels are often excavated through rock masses, right? And weathering significantly influences their stability, their excavation method, and their maintenance. So stability and the excavation method and the maintenance. First thing is rock strength and the tunnel stability. So wherever you have a rock strength and tunnel stability, highly weathered rocks have reduced strength. So if you talk about strength of the rock, so the rocks which are having highly weathered, which are weathering continuously with a very high rate, it will reduce the strength of the rock. So if the tunnel is made on such a rock which can weather very easily, so that kind of rock is having a chance of failure. So it may collapse anytime. So that we have to understand that highly weathered rocks have the reduced strength, making them more prone to collapse during the excavation. So which will give a chance, it will become a very prone kind of weathered rock will become very prone, and it will collapse during the excavation process. Now, weak zone require additional support system like rock bolts, shotcrete, or steel reinforcements. Now, excavation challenges. What are the excavation challenges here? So, soft weathered rock may require special excavation. So, when you talk about the excavation process, in the tunneling process, we go with the excavation process, and the weathered rock may require the special excavation techniques, increasing the construction time and cost. Now, highly weathered zones may collapse unexpectedly and posing the safety risk to the workers. So, the rocks maybe which are highly weathered, so they can collapse unexpectedly, which will pose a safety risk to the workers, whoever is working over there. So, there is a chance of risk of collapsing of the tunnel. Now, if you talk about the long-term maintenance, weathered rock in a tunnel can deteriorate. It will deteriorate over time, leading to the spalling. Spalling means the patches of concrete breaking scaling, or even in the major collapses. So the patches occurs in the concrete due to the spalling process, and this all spalling process occur due to the weathering of the rocks, and scaling or even the major collapses may occur due to this weathering process, which will deteriorate the over time, leading to the spalling. Now, regular monitoring, if you talk about the regular monitoring process, so regular monitoring and reinforcements are necessary to prevent the structural failures. So it is required to monitor regularly to just monitor regularly for the reinforcement which are necessary to the prevent the structural failures here. Now let us talk about the weathering process as important as for the dam, because dams are also the part of the day-to-day life where we need, which will help us to store the water, and it will help us to reduce the chances of floodings in such regions wherever the water flow is more. So weathering plays a very significant role. It plays a very significant role in context of dams and their surroundings and their environment. Now, if you talk about the structural integrity, so under this importance of weathering, when you talk about the structural integrity, so structural integrity has a foundation stability, spillway outlet. Now, under the structural integrity, we will just understand what is the foundation stability. Now, weathering can weaken the rock. The weathering process, it can weaken the rock and or the soil foundation of dam, reducing its load-bearing capacity, leading to the potential structural failure. And spillway and outlet works. Now, weathering can erode concrete structures, causing cracks, leading to the costly repairs or failures in the critical components like spillways. So weathering can erode the concrete structures, which can cause the cracks, leading to the costly repairs or failures in the critical components like spillways. What are the spillways here is? So spillway is a structure that is used to provide the controlled release of water downstream. So it will just give a controlled release whenever the water is required to be released or to be controlled. So spillway will be providing this kind of activity. So a spillway in the outlet works, weathering can erode the concrete structure. So wherever the spillway and outlet works are going on, so due to this weathering process, that can erode the structure. So which can daily, if this kind of process is happening, slowly the cracks can be developed in the structures, which needs a repair, and the what you can say failures chances will be more, and the critical components like spillways. Now, if you talk about the second thing here is erosion and sedimentation. So as a weathering point of view, when you talk about dams, so reservoir sedimentation is also one of the most important part here. So weathering of the upstream rocks and the soil contributes to the sedimentation in the reservoir, reducing its capacity, efficiency over the time. So once the weathering process is taking place, so huge amount of weathered material that may enter into the dams or reservoirs, which can reduce the capacity of the dam, or reservoir, and the water flow and the flooding of that area may have more chances. Now, erosion of dam embankments. Embankments is weathered rock at embankments may be more susceptible to the erosion, increasing the risk of dam failure. Now, water quality. So, if you talk about water quality, so chemical weathering and sediment load. So, here water quality, under this we have chemical weathering. So, release of minerals from the weathered rock can alter the chemical composition of reservoir, water affecting its quality for drinking, for irrigation of industrial use. And chemical weathering will be very much difficult to handle, like release of minerals from the weathered rock can alter the chemical composition of the reservoir water, because the chemicals which mix in the water, they may change the chemical composition of the water too. So the water may become hazardous to the health, and the chemicals may mix and will disturb the aquatic life of the reservoir or dam. So affecting the quality of the drinking water also, and it is not useful for the irrigation and the industrial use also. Sediment load. When you talk about sediment load, increasing sediment from the weathered material can impact the aquatic ecosystems and can reduce the lifespan of the reservoir. Now, increased sediments from the weathered material can impact the aquatic ecosystems, and it can reduce the lifespan of the reservoirs. Seepage and leakage. Now, seepage and leakage is having a lot of issues here. So, increased permeability. So, weathering can increase the permeability of the dam materials, leading to the seepage or leakage, which may compromise dam safety. It will may compromise the dam safety. Piping and internal erosion may occur, and piping and internal erosion means fine particles from weathered material can be carried away by the seepage problem, and it can create a channel like piping problem and undermine dam stability. So dam stability will be undermined here. Now weathering can increase the permeability of dam materials, means it can lead to the when the continuous weathering process is taking place, the seepage chances, the crack development may occur in the dams, and which may compromise the dam safety later on. Now, maintenance and repair, if we talk about, so regular inspection and to be done, like weathering requires a regular inspection and maintenance to address any surface degradation of the material loss. And when you talk about the cost implication means repairing the weather components can be costly, emphasizing the need for material resistant to weathering during the design and the construction process. And later on, if you talk about the long-term performance here, so long-term performance means weathering is a process which needs maintenance because it has an aging infrastructure. Over time, weathering can accelerate the aging process. It can accelerate the aging process of dam infrastructure, necessitating the rehabilitation or the replacement of the rocks. And safety considerations, when you talk about safety considerations, so understanding the weathering process, it helps in risk assessment and mitigation strategies for the long-term safety of the dams, which can so these are the few of the references you can just go through to find out the more content about it, like Keshavlu Chenna, textbook of engineering geology, and Venkat Reddy, textbook of engineering geology, which will help you to find out about the more content about it. And you can just even refer this fundamentals of engineering geology to find out the more content about the weathering, importance of the weathering as a dam and reservoir or geology point of view. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.